In today's Hoop-de-Doodle cargo bike build video, we take this top part off of a fork and make it into this thing. Yeah. Alright, so my next big step on this project is to get the steering column stuff figured out. And so here I've got some RockShox, and I apologize to anybody that's a big fan of the RockShox, but I'm going to cut these things up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this aluminum piece right off. Just going to cut that off, so what I'm after is this tube here. My first step is I got to remove this bearing race here. I'm going to need that later. I've got a little punch here and my hammer. I'm going to go around this thing and there we go. We've just got this aluminum piece here. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna cut it like right here and right here, and hopefully split that thing in half and not damage the tube here. A little chisel in there, see what happens. Broke that one. It's loose. There, it's out. And amazingly, it's unscathed. So you can see down at the bottom here, it's got this like extra thing in there, which I believe is like an expander cone type of thing where they push that in, this expands that, and that's how this thing was held together. I'm not gonna worry too much about that guy. All right, so if we take that race that we just took off of there a minute ago and try and slide it back down on here, you can see it sort of stops like right where it was before because of that little expander cone thing they got in the bottom here. So this is flared out on the bottom, which is pretty cool. Actually, I think it will make our lives a lot easier. So this, in theory, can go back down on here. But before that, I need to weld on my little arm that comes off the bottom here. It's part of the steering linkage, and then off that arm will be attached another little arm that will go to the front forks and turn this thing. So basically the concept here is I'm going to lengthen this, cut this thing in half, weld in a pipe in between there. This guy right here, this is exactly 1 inch in outside diameter, and it fits in here like perfectly. All right, so next I want to make the little steering shaft or steering hand for the bottom of this tube here. So this is the guy that will get welded on like that, and then we'll be able to turn the steering like this. So I need to drill a couple holes in this thing so I have options to attach my little steering mechanism to. I have 1/4 inch holes, 1/2 inch apart. Put this one at half, 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 half. So there's 4 different options. And there it is, folks. Now I gotta shape this out, cut the edges off of this a little bit, and we're good. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and cut this guy in half, which is a little nerve-wracking, but because it's the only one I got, man. Can't make a mistake on this, can't make a mistake, but I'm gonna go ahead and do it anyway. So I'm gonna chop it like right about there, I think. I can cut it basically anywhere in here, but I'm gonna chop it right there. And I probably don't even need, I probably only need like this part down here and this little part up here, but thing. I'm gonna go ahead and clean this stuff up with the grinder. Then I gotta make sure I get the stuff on the inside out. I'm gonna use a file to get in there. This guy, the little rounded edge. We've got this one cut out and cleaned out on the inside, both of these guys. And then, guy right here should fit right inside, nice and neat like that. Let me weld this thing to the bottom too. All right, so I've got this guy here cleaned up for welding. The little metal, it's all nice and shiny. I'm gonna do the same for the end of this guy here. I'm gonna use a flap disc to do that. All right, so now that's all shined up and it should fit down in here real nice, which it does. And then I should be able to go ahead and weld this thing in there, and then we'll have a nice little, I turn this guy, this will turn. That will be the basis of my steering stem right there. Ooh, cool stuff. All right, so now this guy is welded up, and now we're ready to weld it onto this guy. We're gonna stick the one tube inside the other one. Then I'm gonna stick it inside this piece of angle iron. And on the other end, we're gonna put this guy to make sure everything lines up. So there it is, like that. Now I should be able to tack this thing in, and we should be nice and straight. All right, so now in theory, I should be able to take this guy, I should be able to take my little bearing race thing here and slide this back on over this and down onto the bottom like that. Trying to get a good estimate for the amount of space I'll need to cut this thing without putting those bearing races on. Let's go ahead and stick this on the bike. Here's the bottom of the frame. So I should be able to slide this guy up in here. And I've got the one bearing on the bottom here, just to give me some spacing idea. So putting this guy all the way up through, this is the top right here. This is where it's sort of, just giving a rough idea of where it comes into contact, how far it extends out. All right, so now with this marked up here, now I gotta figure out this guy is X so long. We have the thread itself sticking out, it'll be somewhere up in there. You're gonna have this guy, oh, that's the very top. All right, so you're gonna have this guy up on top here, and you're gonna have this guy, and this guy would be up on top of that. And this one comes to a stop, where you can't just thread this thing all the way through. This gives us a better idea of approximately where we want to end up. So if I cut the pipe somewhere around in here, I've got the pipe cut and I've got it cleaned up here a little bit. Let's sort of test this out, test fit it. I see nothing but threads up here. I think I got it where I want it, or where it needs to be. And basically, with the tube in here, I can sort of grab a hold of this and adjust it just a little bit, pull the tube out or push it in just a little bit. And then I can screw this thing on and sort of set all this stuff on here, get them on here and space it out and make sure that everything sort of fits the way I end up ultimately want it to fit. This would be a lot simpler if I had a newer type stem on here where it just clamps on. The one I have now is the older type, the quill type stem where it goes inside. And so anyway, just something to think about when you're picking a bike to do a project like this with. The newer type stem is probably a lot easier. With this thing, I'm just gonna tack it on right now in a couple spots so that if it's crucially off, I can easily undo those tacks and move it again. For right now, I'm just gonna put a couple of tacks on here. All right, so I've got this stuff welded in here. I've got the top part tacked in here. And for right now, you can kind of imagine bearing cups, they go in here and they're kind of an interference fit, so I can't just stick them in there. I have to sort of tap these down in. And so I'm gonna wait to do that until the frame is actually painted. So I'm not actually gonna install this on the bike in this video. We're gonna wait till it's painted, and I've also got some parts coming in the mail. So at that point, I should be able to pretty much put this thing together. I have a couple more things I wanna make, some little details on here. I still have to make the little plywood piece for the cargo bed, and then I also wanna make like a little headlight mount as well for this bike. And then I think we should have everything and put this bike together in the next video. So see you then, everybody. Thanks for watching. Cat, 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 cat.